Good evening, Bhante and all Kalyana Suki Hontu. I'm Aliana and welcome to Sutta Discussion Day 74 by Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima. Tonight's class is the third class of Sabbāsava Sutta. Sabbāsava Sutta is the sixth sutta from the total of 10 sutta that have been chosen by Bhante Chandima for this sutta discussion. For those who have missed our previous classes, please check on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Clan Facebook page and YouTube channel. We have uploaded the previous 73 classes there. The Sutta discussion Zoom class is always open, therefore whoever that wish to join the class via Zoom, where we can engage directly with Bhante, can contact us on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Clan's Facebook Messenger. We are always welcoming newcomers. Our speaker, Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima, is the Associate Editor of the Journal of International Buddhist Studies, or JIBS, which is published by the Buddhist Research Institute of Mahachulalongkorn Raja Vidyalaya University in Thailand. He has previously research fellow at the Center for Studies in Religion and Society, or CSRS, of University of Victoria, Canada. Bhante Dr. Chandima was also a Theravada Buddhist chaplain at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada from year 2012 to 2016. Bhante is currently the Senior Advisor to Participate, a virtual Dharma organization that hosts a weekly online Pali reading class, Sutta discussions, Dharma talks, and a variety of other Dharma activities. His Dharma work can be accessed at patisota.blogspot.com. Without further ado, we welcome once again Bhante, and thank you very much for the wonderful talk. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Aliana. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Friday TRV discussion day 74. As you know that we have started off a new sutta a few weeks back. It's about asavas, Sabbāsava. The sutta goes by Sabbāsava Sutta. So today we have a few new folks too. We have Aliana, Lim, Wu, Aaron. You have blurred today. Okay, your face has been blurred. Okay, Kelvin, Kim, Nayan, and Lightly, you are here today. On that day you were, I think, traveling. And Jacqueline, Tisilim, Sita with her mother, and Corina is new to our discussion today. She's from Penang. So everybody, welcome. And before we get started, let's pay respect to them. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhasse. So I think most of you were participating for our last Friday's discussion about the Sabbāsava Sutta. What we be discussing from Sabbāsava Sutta is what are the ways of abandoning, overcoming our asavas. Some of you kept asking me, can you make a difference, contrast between among these specific Pali words that we get to see in the text? This is such a very important thing, now, folks, to kind of separate out, to understand the meaning of these words. Actually, we are talking about kilesas, I would say, the negative mental states. Are negative mental states a hindrance or probably a disturbance to us on a daily basis? Are they disturbing us? They are. They can disturb us. It is you who is making it a disturbance. They are always there. It is you who is going to make it a problem to you. Otherwise, do not blame for the negative mental states, right? A doctor is grabbing a knife to do a surgery, but an ignorant man or woman might be taking the knife to cut somebody off, right? It's not the problem with the knife. It's a problem with the person who is using that and that bigger purpose, right? So people normally pick on the, I would say, pick on the culprit. They would like to say that there's a culprit, right? Rather than we looking for the culprit, if we can really take care of our area, our inner space, we can minimize lots of issues, lots of hassles. So Sabbāsava Sutta is about how to overcome our negative mental states. And also the Sutta provides a very clear instruction on how to develop our, what you call, positive mental states. I would say skillful mental states. The previous one is unskillful mental state. So we discussed that the Buddha explained that there are 7 ways to overcome our negative mental states. Mostly there are different asavas, which have to be differently overcome by using different methods. So there are basically 7 methods. What was your previous understanding? Were you instructed by whoever the people, maybe the books, that there is only one way to overcome your negative mental states? Or were you informed by those individuals, or maybe the books, maybe whatever the piece of materials that you learn, that there are multiple ways to, overcome your pretty much akusalas, maybe negative mental states? What was your previous understanding? I'm asking that. We have new folks today. Normally, it is said that there is only one way that you can practice to overcome your negative mental states, akusalas. It is only by meditating. Go meditate. That's the only way that you're going to overcome. So is it a correct reading? And is it a correct understanding that we need to think? It is not a correct reading of the text. Because in this Sutta Sabbāsava, Buddha says that there are different ways for different akusalas. Now, let's once again look at the Pali words which carry different meanings of the akusalas. I think it is very important. On that day, even the previous 2 days, I was explaining to you, we have basically the dormant state of mind. What is our dormant state of mind? Is it kusala or akusala? Normally, we are putujjanas, unenlightened beings. So our state of mind, which is dormant, mostly come from akusalas. They are not that terrible kind of akusala, but pretty much our raw thoughts, they come from akusalas. That is why whenever you are going to talk to somebody, always false speech coming out, gossiping coming out, hurting things coming out. You have to sometimes go through a struggle to make them refine, to find the truth, find the good words, find the meaningful talk. It's a struggle to many people because our raw thoughts are dormantly akusala. You can't blame yourself. That is how we were born with, right? But those akusalas can be not very much terrible at the beginning. They can be, less effective on your progress, spiritual progress. But sometimes they can appear in a full-fledged form, full-blown form of your akusala states. So that means we are primarily you know, dormant with some akusala. We have a Pali word for that. What is the Pali word for dormant? Being dormant. I mean, akusalas that are dormant all the time. Let me type that for you. Pali word for the name when the akusalas are dormant, we call it anusaya. Anusaya. I would say anusaya. They are at the dormant level, right? So now this is the nature, but we call it, akusala moolas, right? Akusala moolas. What are the akusala moolas? Lobha, dosa, and moha. Those lobha, dosa, moha roots, akusala roots, are always at the anusaya level, at the dormant level. Right? Now, if you have a mindset where you have practiced what you call cultivating your akusala states, then whenever an akusala is going to arise, whenever you are going to be a little bit greedy, maybe going to be a little bit what you call hateful, then you will be able to teach yourself that no, do not proceed anymore. So you're gonna be like a shy person, when somebody is shy, is always going to shrink himself, herself, right? It's like a tortoise. Always when there is an attack to the tortoise, it's going to cover up the whole body with that, that part, right? So primarily we have akusala roots. They are at the anusaya level, dormant level. Then what is asavana? This is the second level is asavas. Asavas means there are 4 types of asavas. We call them as what you call influxes. They are being discharged according to the situation. Kama, ditti, bhava, avicca. Right? They are the asavas. They are always discharging from you, depending on the situation, depending on the place, depending on the person you are going through, dealing with. Let's say there is somebody who you really like, then you are discharging more kamas. And then what about others? Kama, bhava. If it is an event or something where you expect a lot of things for the next life, then you are discharging a lot of bhava, asavas. If it is something where you create lots of develop, maintain your own views about life, about yourself, then you are creating lots of ditti asana, kama, bhava, ditti. Finally, because we are all surrounded by avicca, ignorance, you are creating all these negative mental states. I would say asavas here. So that means you are creating then full form of avicca. So when you discharge asavas, because you have akusala roots at the dormant level, then what happens? You are going to create another level of negative mental states. We call them as upakkilesa. Right? But this way, akusala roots, then asavas, then upakkilesas, and kilesas, and papancha. This could be a little bit a better way to understand. Kusala roots, which are at the dormant level, asavas, upakkilesas, kilesas, papancha. Now, before kilesa, now what does kilesa mean? Kilesa means the polluted mind. The word itself says kilesa means polluted. But before you getting polluted, there are 16 other neighboring kilesas. We call them upakkilesas. Upa means neighboring. They are supportive. They are driving you to the full-blown kilesa. Now, one example, tell me one upakkilesa. I already given you the Sutta reference that day. Tell me one Upakilesa. Now let's say, now you already understand that there are Lobha Dosa Moha, and because of them, you are discharging asavas. Now, while you are discharging asavas, when your asavas are flowing out, then perhaps or most often you are being driven by a minute level of maybe another minor version of kilesa. We call them as upakilesa. Thereby, you are creating the full-blown version of kilesa. So, what are these upakilesas? Tell me one upakilesa.
Vyapada.
Vyapada is one upakilesa. Right? Vyapada means ill will. Ill will means, say English words, ill will. What does ill will mean?
Unwholesome.
Definitely unwholesome. Somebody said, what is ill? Bhante, it is goodwill. Opposite of goodwill. Say, what is goodwill? So go by the English words.
A desire to destroy somebody.
Yeah.
Will.
Intention to destroy another being.
Sorry,
Now this,
Vyapada is what? Vyapada.
yeah, Vyapada is normally translated into English as ill will.
Ill will.
But
Okay.
when you understand ill will in the Buddhist context, because it's an English word, the full idea of ill will in the Buddhist teachings is the intention to destroy somebody, maybe physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. In today's world, people don't always physically harm other people, destroy. They sometimes bully other people. Huh? There are very good bullies now in the schools, at work, maybe some family background too, maybe, right? So the idea, intention of the bully is to destroy maybe the other person's emotional structure, right? Maybe to ruin that other person's day, right? Whatever the intentions to destroy them. So this is one upakilesa. Another upakilesa. Upana.
Krodha.
Koda means anger, basic anger. Actually, the upakilesas go in a dual form. It goes by a dual form. That means there is one upakilesa and it is attached to another upakilesa. Let's go back. We call it abhijja and visamalobha. Abhijja means greed about what you have. Now we normally call lobha. Lobha means greed. Probably I'm gonna write here, otherwise you might not understand. All right. Okay. Now, Lobha is not upakilesa. Lobha is a akusala root. She's at the dormant level. This is called greed. But when you say abhijja, this is called greed about one's possessions. One's maybe belong. Then the dual form, we call it visamalobha. You see, visamalobha. Visamalobha means greed about other people or others belongings. Little funny, huh? It's a little funny because some people even create lobha for what other people have. They have no ownership about that stuff, right? But they do. They have no ownership. They haven't bought it. They have even were not given those opportunities, but they still develop lobha for what other people have. Maybe about other people. So this is called abhijja and visamalobha. Now you see the dual form, right? And Koda, as Brother Kelvin said, Koda is basic anger. Let me show that too, how it works. I'm going to write it here. Koda. Koda means basic anger, right? Koda. And the dual form, the opposite one is Koda and Upana. Upana. Upana.
ทำไมไม่ค่อยตรงอ่ะ
Koda. Upana. Upanaha means revenge. Which is more dangerous? Koda or Upana? I think both are dangerous, but when you go to the Upanaha, Upanaha arises when you have lots of anger. That means you have grudge. You have revenge. You are trying to take revenge. Somebody did something wrong to you and you are trying to do the same thing to that person. So this is upakilesa, right? Now let's go back to the structure. Akusala roots, asavas, upakilesa. So one of those 16 upakilesas. Once you have this, one of these upakilesas, definitely more upakilesas, not just one upakilesa. When you are what you call controlled by, when you are affected by one of these upakilesas, then you are going to the full form of kilesa. You are polluted. You are already polluted at that point, kilesas. So now, when you are polluted, then what happens? We call the process that has been happening in your mind is papancha. That whole process is called papancha, as you can see in the chat. Papancha means you have been going through a certain process whereby you have been creating akusala. So whenever you notice within you or in somebody else having a hard time, maybe creating a negativity, maybe kind of a akusala that is happening from that person, it is the papancha that has been taking over that person's mindset. So papancha is the name for the process of creating akusala. We look at papancha from the mental functioning of your akusala. Now let me show you how the papancha, when we look at papancha, then you will see how papancha is being understood in this process. Let's go here, easy. Chakku, then Rupa, Saita. Chakku, Rupa, Chakkuncha Paticca Rupe Chupajjati. Chakku, Vinyana, eye consciousness, like this way. Okay. This is Chakku, this is Rupa, then Chakku Vinyana. Passa, contact, because of the what you call, because of the amalgamation of these things, sense faculty, and then the object, and then the sense consciousness, then you are creating contact. I will add an example later. Then after contact, what's happening? You are creating Passa Pacca Vedana, feeling. I'm going to the next line, just to save the time. Yang Vedeti Tang Sanjana, creating perception. Yang Sanjanati Tang Vitakketi. What do you call by Vitakketi? Vitakketi means you are going to rationalize. Yang Vitakketi Tang Papancheti. We call it proliferation. Let me explain to you. You might not understand this properly. Now, this is called Rupa. This is called Chakku. This is called Rupa. This is called Chakku Viññāna. This is called Phassa. This is called Vedana. This is called Sanya. This is called Vitakka. This is called Papancha. Now, let's say, now you are going to be angry. You're getting angry. How are we going to put this anger and the whole process of you becoming angry into the final proliferation? Now, let's say you have eyes, then you get to see somebody that you don't like. Does it happen to you sometimes? Are you sometimes seeing the people who you don't like? Who you having some disagreements? Okay, now your eyes, now you see that person. Rupa. Then what happened immediately? You are creating an eye consciousness. So there is a certain awareness happening in your eyes. We call it eye consciousness, Chakku Viññāna. Now let's say you hear that person, sound, voice, then what happened? Ear, then sound, ear consciousness. Put it the way that you want, but here we take only eye. Then with your eyes, you are going to see that person. Then you are coming up with a certain awareness about that person, mostly about those bitter events. All right, mostly about those bitter events. Then what happens? Then this sensory awareness, especially this happens in this case in your eyes, creates a certain contact. Now, once there is contact, what we have to understand, when there's a contact, what is immediately happening?
Feeling.
A feeling is going to arise. Now, there is contact. Contact is about that particular person's sight. Now, because of that, there is contact, and that contact immediately creates a feeling, Vedana. What do you think about that feeling? It would be a very happy feeling for you, or it would be an unhappy feeling, or it would be a neutral feeling? Mostly one of the last two, right?
Yeah.
Could be one of the last two. Mostly, if you don't have a very good mind, you don't have a good cultivated mind, you will be mostly picking up the last two. Either you'll be unhappy or you'll be neutral to the feeling. And then once you are going coming down with a feeling, especially about that particular person which you don't like, then you are creating perceptions about. What is perception? Mental noting. You are going to note mentally about this person. Are you how are you going to use it? Maybe a past event, what happened to you a few months ago, maybe many years ago. That will come up to your mind. This happened. He did this to me. She did this to me. And then you are going to remember that particular incident. And then what happened? Now you are making another note for the future. This happened also today. This bitter feeling too, right? So perception goes for past and future. Once you perceived about this particular person's side through all this, then you are going to rationalize. We call it vitakka. How would you normally rationalize at this point? Would it be a very happy rationalization? Would it be a very moral, wholesome rationalization about that person? What would you think here? You would most probably rationalize maybe an angry response to this person's side. And you are going to justify, no, it's okay. It's okay. This person deserves that bad treatment. You will be rationalizing that way. Maybe if there is a sound, you might be isolating yourself from not hearing that. Maybe walk away from that place and then going to rationalize, self-rationalize about what you are doing, self-validating about what you are doing. So once you rationalize about that particular perception, then what happens? You are creating the whole proliferation perspective. That means whole polluted process. Now, where is akusala root? Where is asava? Where is upakilesa? Where is kilesa over here? Try to find out where are they existing in this process. Where are they? Mostly, we know that you have Lobadosa Moha. Definitely, because of Lobadosa Moha, you will be taking the, I would say, I consciousness through these, one of these akusala roots. And then at that point, you are discharging lots of asavas too. And then when you come down to perception and rationalization, you are almost dealing with upakilesas, what you call ill will or whatever, those things. And then finally, you are creating the proliferation, but what we understand by, papancha. Now, next time when you are asked by somebody, how can you distinguish between these words, among these words about akusala, you should be able to say that there are different contexts to understand these Pali words. Akusala roots, asavas, upakilesas, kilesas, and papancha. All right. Any questions about it?
Bhante, how about the conditions?
Conditions.
Yeah, for example, the site, there must be lighting. If there's no light, even though there's no complete light, you cannot see.
Then if there is no light, then you will pick up through another sense. Another sense is going to work in the same way.
Okay.
Now, let's say suddenly power goes off.
Okay.
Power goes off. When you are in a powerless house, when there is no electricity, then you will go down to another couple of memories in the past about some people. Your emotional structures will arise in different ways. At that point, maybe what you call mano and mano vijnana will work at that certain same process. So it doesn't matter whenever you have power, whenever you are able to see clearly, there is a different way of creating this papancha. When there is light, there is another way. Same thing actually that is happening. It depends on the situation. But what we have to understand is it's happening. Papanchas are always happening. Right? The contents of the papancha are akusala roots, akusala moolas, asavas, upakilesas, kilesas, and then finally you understand the whole process. We call it as papancha. All right, let's get to the sutta now. So as I told you that the other day, I made some notes just to understand sutta easily.
And this is very small, the wording.
Yeah, I'm going to zoom. Yeah, don't worry. Right. So we have discussed up to 6 views, remember?
Yeah.
6 views. Should be here.
Pasa evam.
Page 4, Bhante.
Page 4? Okay, page 4. These are the
Tasa
16.
evam.
These are the 16 doubts. Where was it? Panassa evam.
Hey, off the fan, please.
Let's go back here. Tassa evam ayoniso. Here. Tassa evam ayoniso manasikaruto. Channang dittina anyata ditti pachati. Now, if I remind you again, there is a person who is unwise. That person does not properly use attention. What is the proper attention called? Wise attention. Yoniso manasikara. So the first 2 parts are about somebody who is not wise and who is not using wise attention to see life, see the world, see his experiences. The second two is about somebody who has wise attention. When somebody does not use wise attention, that person has unwise attention. So that person is creating 16 doubts, or one of the doubts. There are 16 doubts. And then because that person creates 16 doubts, or some doubts out of these 16, then what happened? That person is again is going to create 6, or one of the 6 type of ditthis, views. So he or she is not going to be able to use the first way to overcome asavas. And the Buddha says that those views must be overcome initially. When you overcome those views, you are able to get rid of 3 fetters, Silabata Paramasa, Sakkaya Ditthi, Vicikicca, thereby you will become a Sotapanna. Actually, the first method is also the method, or also the process of you becoming a Sotapanna. Dassana Sampada. This is the way how somebody is becoming Sotapanna also. Okay, let's go back to our explanation here. I'll keep it here. And then go to the note that I made today. Here. Let me again put it this way. Unwise attention. Here, monks, an untutored birdling, ignorant or unenlightened person who has no regard for the noble ones, unskilled in the way of the noble ones, undisciplined in the teaching Dhamma, the noble ones, who has no regard for the true individuals, unskilled in the ways of true individuals. Now, what does it mean? Now, this person is not a Sappurisa, not a wise person, no respect for the Buddha, no respect for the noble ones, undisciplined in the teaching of the true Sappurisa, that means about the noble path teachings, does not understand what states should be attended to. What states mean? What is this state? States of mind. States of mind. And then attending mean using wise attention. So this person, this unwise person does not know where to bring attention. What states should not be attended to? That means where or what states that I have to understand. Thereby, I'm not bringing my attention to. Not understanding what state should be attended to, not understanding what state should not be attended to, he or she attends to the states that should not be attended. So this person is making a decision that I am going to attend to unnecessary mental states, but he or she does not know that thing. He or she naturally pays attention to those unnecessary mental states. We will be looking at what they are. And what monks are the states that should not be attended to, but to which this person, unwise person, attends.
Bhante, which page is this, Bhante?
Huh?
Which page is this?
Actually, I copy and pasted this one under the chat. This is a new one. I actually made it because the Sutta text is not very easy to understand at this point.
Okay.
So I actually added, see here,
Yeah,
the same post. If you go to the Sutta, this part is not little clear about this section. So that's why I added here.
Okay.
So it's easy to understand.
Okay.
Okay, these are the things this unwise person is going to attend, which is unnecessary. Where the unarisen influx of sense desire arises, or the arisen influx of sense desire grows. So the person is attending, but he is not using the wise attention to understand these things. And also, bhava, here karma, this is bhava, this is avijja. These are the states that should not to be attended to, should not give attention to, right? But to which he attends. And what bhikkhus are the states that should be attended to, but to which he is. But this person should have attended to the following ones, but this person does not. Where the unarisen influx of sense desire does not arise. This is where we are supposed to give our attention to. Not to the place where it arises. Where it does not arise is the place where we have to bring our attention to. Or the arisen influx of sense desire are abandoned. In other words, how can we put it in a simple way? Remember Samma Vayama? Remember our session about Samma Vayama? Can you go back to the Samma Vayama lesson? No, under the Noble Eightfold Path. How did I explain to you? How did I explain to you about Samma Vayama, right effort? I explained to you about 4 things that you need to do if you want to practice Samma Vayama. What are those 4 ways? And I also brought up a simile. There's a vegetable garden. It's a vegetable garden project. So I explained to you the process in 4 ways, and then I related the 4 things that you are doing with the vegetable garden. Okay, let's see. Prevention, removal, and then creating, and then maintain. Remember? These are the 4 ways of Samma Vayama. Now let's bring them to the vegetable garden. Now in a vegetable garden.
Remove the weeds. Sorry, sir.
Let me explain to you. In a
Okay.
vegetable garden, the first thing that we are worried about is that, are we preventing unnecessary weeds in time? Because when the weeds are going to arise, then it's a little sad because we have to do a lot of things to do. Uproot them, right? Hire people to, take care of the garden. So the first thing is to prevent weeding happening way before weeding happens. That means you are putting things in place. So prevention is very important. So how do we bring this to our Samma Vayama? It is for akusala states of mind. There are unarisen akusala states. Let's say you are not having that much jealousy. You are not that kind of a jealous person. You are already a good person. You have lots of mudita, altruistic joy. But just because you were good so far, should you validate yourself a lot that I'm okay? No, you may be jealous at a certain point. If you are not practicing every day, because it's a negative mental state. It can arise. Then what you have to do? You have to get ready to stop, maybe stop any conditioning towards any jealousy. That means preventing is very important. You have a vegetable garden, you are doing certain things to prevent weeding arises, right? Arising those weeds. Second is removal. Now, unfortunately, you have not done enough prevention. Right? Now there are some weeds already happened. There are already weeds going everywhere in your garden. Now what you have to do? You have to remove them. So you have to at least take care of the rest of your garden. In the same way, sometimes we are trying to prevent, we are going to fail in that process. That means we will get into certain unnecessary akusala states of mind. And there are people who are blaming other people. I was so good, but because of this person, I had to lie. I had to gossip. They are trying to find culprits. That is a lame excuse. You should not point out other people for your inability, for your spiritual failure. It is you who could have done things. Right? Let other people be the versions who they are. Right? So, at the removal level, what you are doing is that you are going to remove any existing active akusala states of mind. Now, the prevention part, they are inactive ones. You already don't have them, you are doing. So you are preventing and you are removing akusala states of mind. You are putting effort to do the prevention, do the removal. Now, just because you are removing and preventing, are you going to practice the Noble Eightfold Path well? I don't think so. What are you going to do with the good stuff? Are you not expecting vegetables, flowers, fruits in your garden? Yes, definitely you are hoping because you are maintaining, nursing your vegetable garden. Then creating, that means you don't have good harvest, good crops in your garden. So what you are doing, you are learning, you are reading on the internet, you are talking to people who know horticulture, who know what you call gardening. Maybe you might be going to certain nurseries to ask, get some second opinions about your gardening. What are you doing? You are trying to create unseen progress in your vegetable garden so that you are having fruits, vegetables, new ones, maybe in different lengths. We call it creating inactive kusala states of mind. Let's say you are already good, but there are certain things that you have not been able to create in your kusala practice. Maybe you are one very funny example. Let's say you are a person who has been doing dana for many years, but you have not been able to focus on the elimination of lobha dosa moha. Every time you go to the temple, something comes up to your mind, something that you were not able to get in this life. So you're offering dana, thinking about, okay, may I be able to be so such next life, even this life. That means your dana practice has not been really growing well. Nobody knows. Only you know that. You know it personally. So then, what you have to do, you have to create new good kusalas into your spiritual practice. Maybe you get to learn from a Dhamma speaker. This is not good. I should not expect a lot of things. What I need to do during dana is to think about, I'm not greedy about the money I spend. I'm not greedy about the money that I spend for the groceries. I'm not greedy about the time I'm spending for the dana. That create new kusalas. You've been creating kusalas, but you are creating new kusalas in new ways, in innovative ways, maybe in the proper way. Finally, it is maintaining your own kusalas. That means you already have good kusalas. You are somebody who is not easily getting angry. You are not someone who's easily getting irritated. You are not somebody who's easily getting annoyed by other people. Then why don't you keep it up? You have to keep it up. Because in a moment of time, you might not be able to catch up with your good states of mind. Have you seen people who have been very calm, but after many, many years, this person is going to be very crazy all of a sudden? When you ask that person, what happened? You know what? I was so good, but that moment I could not control myself. Why was it? Because that person has not been maintaining his or her practice all throughout the time. So do not guarantee just because you've been good for the last 10, 20 years in your practice. Something can happen at any time. So it's a 24/7, all day long, all night long practice in terms of Samma Vayama. So the reason why I discuss about this Samma Vayama here, as you can see here in the Sutta, this unwise person is not putting effort, right effort, to understand how my karma, how my bhava, how my avijja, asavas arising. Right? And also this person does not pay attention, give the right attention, what you call wise attention, to understand, especially to identify the places where I can find out my sense desire is not happening, my avijja is not happening, bhava is not, asava is not happening. Those places are not his or her focus. So we call it a person who has lots of what you call unwise attention. Now, these are the 16 doubts that person is going to create because of this misfollowing of the Dhamma. What are those doubts? 16. One of the 16 doubts. There are doubts about the past, 5 doubts about the past. Then 5 doubts about the future. Then Here, 6 doubts about the present time. Let's see. Was I in the past? I think I explained to you that day. There are people who are always concerned about their past life. Can you tell me? See my palms. Can you read my palms? And there are lots of internet readings about the past life. Was I in the past? Was I not in the past? What was I in the past? How was I in the past? Having been, what did I become what in the past? Looking at the past karma also is not a good thing, sometimes, because you already have it. And about the future, will I be in the future? Am I not in the future? What will I be in the future? How will I be in the future? Having been, what will I become what in the future? There was a gentleman some time ago who was repeatedly asking me, Bhante, how can someone become a beetle in next life? I said, why are you asking this? He asked me a couple times. I said, if you are concerned, if you are always thoughtful about how to become a beetle, you will become a beetle. Because that is happening in your mind. Just get rid of this thought. You are a human. And I know you are a good person. Think about good things you've been doing. Just get rid of this beetle story. Right? So I think he was kind of bothered by a certain animal. And then he's always thinking about this particular animal. How can someone become that particular animal? I think I got a comment over here.
Is it because you always kill the beetles?
Not exactly. I think this is a random thought to him. He saw some beetles and he's thinking, how can someone become a beetle? So it's bothering to him. And then he's always asking this question at each Dhamma talk. To a point that I said, I told you one day, just get rid of this beetle theory, So
Don't think of it.
yes, you don't have to think, because one day when you die, if you are concerned about this beetle, what will happen? Beetle. You will
Then you
become a beetle, definitely. Because that is your mindset.
So
Whatever
Bhante,
the habitual thinking you have in your mind, you will take it to the next life. That is
the
the
law of
karmic way.
attraction. The law of attraction.
Yeah, I mean, law of attraction is okay if you focus on the right person, a good person, moral person. You are minimize your unnecessary thing. But if you think about a certain animal, always bothered by that animal,
Then you become one.
it's going to really become a problem, a disaster. Yes, Corina?
no, Bhante, if I always think of Deva, so one day born as Deva.
You become a deva. No, I can't guarantee that. But I think the best thing is that think about your kusala practice, not about other particular beings. You are a good person. In that thinking about helping other people, you will think about how good you are in this life, right? Not that I want to become a deva, I want to become this and so. That's a little bit selfish. Think about your own good things you've been doing in this life. I helped the temple. I have been doing this, and many people were benefited. You think in that altruistic way. That thinking will take you to the right place.
What
You don't have
about
to worry about where you're going at that point.
What about Metta?
Huh?
Metta, loving
Metta.
kindness?
No, just thinking about the metta is not helpful. Think about how you were helpful to somebody by
Practice.
practicing metta. You have to think about a real example of where you practice metta. Otherwise, metta is not taking you anywhere, right? Karuna, not taking you anywhere. Mudita is not. Think about where you became compassionate to other beings, how you became kind to other people. That means you must have done something to other people. A lot of people cannot think that way. And they think, okay, I've been very bad on that person. I've been very mean to the other person. I've been unkind to other people. Right? So we have to go beyond the theoretical perspective of the Dhamma manners. If it is metta, how, when I practice metta? How, when I practice karma? If it is satipatthana, how, when, where I practice satipatthana? And how I use that practice to better other people, to benefit other people. This way has to happen in your thoughts. All right, Bhante, in this case, how to uproot those bad habits. So the bad habit in the past will not happen again. Yes, it's definitely
Don't think
by practicing Satipatthana. When you practice Satipatthana, you are understanding your own problem, and then you are going to practice the opposite. Now, Satipatthana is not only the practice, the Noble Eightfold Path. When you practice the Noble Eightfold Path, you will deform your bad. You can deform, not form your habits. Let's say you are somebody who is always mean to other people, you will understand this is bad. I have to stop this. Right? So you can deform your bad habit by forming good habits when you practice the Noble Eightfold Path. Let's go back to our section. Now, there are people who are concerned about their future. I brought up the beetle here about the future. Then about the present time. Am I means very much concerned about I live now, I exist. Am I not? What am I? How am I? Where has this been come from? Where will it go? So these are also unnecessary doubts. These doubts, 5 doubts for the past, 5 doubts for the future, 6 doubts for the present time. All these doubts are going to stop our spiritual progress, especially the wonderful, precious timing that we can use to practice more Dhamma under the Noble Eightfold Path will be minimized if you are drawn into, if you are bothered by these spiritual doubts. Get rid of all these doubts, otherwise you'll be really bothered by these and will not be making the progress. Now, the terrible thing that happens once you have one of these doubts, maybe about the past, maybe about the future, maybe about now, you will be mostly coming up with one of these views, ditthis. You can see I have one of them here. What are they? The view, a self exists for me, arises as true and real. What is this in short terms? Eternalism. Eternalism means that I have a self that is going from this life to the next life. Actually, is there a self that is traveling from this life to the next life? Tell me how you look at your life. Now, when you pass away one day, what is going from here to the next life? Is it a self? I know this is a very big philosophical point where many other religious people are struggling to answer, but I'm trying to look at it from the Buddhist perspective, Theravada Buddhist perspective. What is going from here to the next life? What came from last life to this life? How is it happening?
your karma, cause and effect.
Yeah, definitely we understand karma came. But how did it go from here? Our karmas are always stable. Our karmas are traveling to the next life without being changed.
Is it the energy?
Yeah, energy, karma, whatever. I'm more concerned about how they are going to the next life. The transportation mode, how they are going, how they are traversing. Who knows? Huh?
Vijnana?
Yeah, Vijnana, yes. It's a particular Vijnana. Now in Hinduism, early Hinduism, it is said that it is like a leech. You know the leech? When the leech is trying to move to the other body, how the leech is trying to take the other person's target, the next object, leech has a connection, one foot and the other foot. But the Buddha said, it is not how things or how whatever karma or energy are going to go to another life of somebody. The Buddha always says, our individual karmas, call it energy, whatever, they are always being changed. Yeah, always being changed. If they are not being changed, then you will say, I will go to the next life. It's not you going to the next life. It is the changing entity of the good karmas or bad karmas, or both good and bad karmas are going to the next life. Then can you say that, let's say there is somebody called Jacob. Now Jacob passes away now. Now, will Jacob is going to be reborn? Jacob is not going to be reborn because Jacob's good and bad mixed karmas are going to, if they are going to be changed all the time, then Jacob is not there finally, right? But then you can't say a self travels to the next life. A self travels to the next life. What is traveling is certain good, bad, mixed karmas being always changed under the anicca concept, going to be traveling to the next life. Then you might say, then where is my relevance to my own good karma in the past life? Are you really concerned about it? If everything is changing, what is happening to my own good karmas or bad karmas or mixed karmas? They are always being changed under the anicca. Always being changed. Even the good karma you made here is always being changed. Willingly, unwillingly. Now, there are people who do good karmas. Later on, they think about it in a bad way. So they are intentionally changing the good karmas, maybe the bad karmas. So the idea here, the unwise person is coming up because that person has one of the doubts through the unwise attention is eternalism. My self is traveling to the next life in the same way. Buddha said this is wrong. This is a bad view. Or the view, no self exists for me. No self. But don't be confused with anatta here. It is not anatta here, right? Anatta is a different concept. Now, people who don't believe that there is no self means that there is no life after this life. That is what we call here as no self. Are many major mainstream religions talking about this no self? Yes, they are talking about it. They are saying there is no next life. This is the only life. So we call it annihilationism. There is no self that is going. The Buddha said this is called Uchchedavada. Previous one is called Sassatavada. A self, the same self travels to the next life, which is wrong. There's no self travels to the next life. It is also wrong because there is punabhava, there is rebirth. These two are fundamentally wrong views. And then what are the other three? 3, 4, 5. The view, I perceive a self with a self. I perceive non-self with a self. I perceive a self with non-self. Definitely they are, as I mentioned here, views 3 to 5 may be understood to arise out of the philosophically more sophisticated observation that experience has a built-in reflective structure that allows self-consciousness. The capacity of the mind to become cognizant of itself, its contents, and the body with which it is interconnected. Engaged in a search for his or her true nature, the unwise person will identify self either with both aspects of the experience. Now, these are clearly happening in somebody when that person having a lot of sakkaya ditthi. I have a self, I may not have a self, right? These are also wrong views that are happening to somebody. Final one. Or else he or she has such a view as this. It is this self of mind that speaks or feels here and now karma results both good and bad. But this self of mine is permanent, everlasting, eternal, not subject to change. It will endure forever. This holding on to views, monks, is called a thicket of views, a wilderness of views, a twisting of views, a wriggling of views, a fet of. That means somebody comes to a point that I have a self that is not changing, that is permanent. When I die also, myself will be traveling to the next life. This is another kind of eternal being. If these are wrong views, how would we look at our next life? What is going from here? Our good, bad, mixed karmas are going to the next life, having been always changed. having been always processed. Because every good karma, every bad karma, every mixed karma, they are being always recreated the way we look at them, right? That is why the Buddha said, even when you do a good karma, let's say how Buddha asked you to do the dana. The Buddha clearly distinguished that there are 3 moments of the dana. What are those 3 moments? Uppachitta. We call it Uppachitta. That means your thoughts before the dana. Then the thoughts during the dana. Then the thoughts after the dana. Your thoughts at these 3 times, these 3 periods must be pure, must be purified. Now, what will happen to many people when they call the Bhante, I'm going to give a dana this time today. Lots of good thoughts coming up, getting ready, and where we can go, maybe the food, everything, happy, good thoughts. I think everybody is not messing up at that point. All the good thoughts. Now, during the dana, you might be inviting people who might not be coming on time, in time. You might not be able to get what you really want. Maybe there might be certain things that you might not be able to get. Mostly you'll be okay, but some people are missing out during the time. And then the most difficult time that a lot of people are struggling in looking at their dana is after, post-dana period. Now dana is finished, the event is finished. Now they are doing the post-mortem, looking at what happened, I did this, they went there and all that. And then most often people are coming up, they are picking up the wrong things of that event. Who is perfect? Now, nobody is perfect. We are trying to do something really good, right? So then they are going to mess up. Most of the people are going to mess up. Remember, there's a story in the Jataka. I can't remember the story. There was one king asked a certain man to come. He is swallowing very long swords. You know the swords? He's swallowing. And then the king asked his Purohita, his great minister, look at him. This guy is swallowing a lot of swords. And he was watching what is happening. And at the end, he said, it is more difficult to be happy after you giving a dana. Even it is more difficult than swallowing a sword. Swallowing a sword is easy, but being happy after the dana is more difficult than swallowing a sword. Very interesting statement. Because not even dana, let's say you do a good thing to somebody. What are you going to go through after that particular giving? You should be able to be happy. If any bothering thought comes up, do not let it grow. Try to let it go because you've done a good karma. Don't think about this tiny, small things, right? Anyways, so the 6th view here is thinking about that eternal permanent, which is really what you call wrong view. Let's cover up the wise attention, the same thing. Now what happens when you have the wise attention, you have skill about the Noble Eightfold Path, Noble Ones, then you are not going to give your attention to the sense desires.
Bhante, can I ask a question? Sometimes we do a post-mortem of the dana is to find areas to improve where we go wrong. So is that unwholesome?
I think better to pick up the good side of the dana for some time, and you can improve next time. But if you're going to, let's say if there is a white board, right? There's a white area. There's a small black spot somewhere in this white board. If you're going to pick up this small black spot by ignoring the whole white area, I think that is not necessary in the first place. Maybe later on, one day you can see, compared to my last time, what should I improve? Right? A lot of people, they go to do the post-mortem by taking a slight, tiny, small thing and then going to mess up the whole dana. People who came and they are good thoughts, they're going to mess up. Maybe there are some perfectionist people who are always thinking about this happened, this didn't go well. I told you how to do this. They're going to make a big issue, right? They're having their internal conversations. You should have understood how to do that, right? So we have to give ourselves about looking at the larger, broader picture of the good things. Be that the dana, maybe a volunteering project, maybe a Dhamma school project, maybe a singing project, whatever the thing. But always appreciate, see the good side. Later on, one day, we will see where to improve.
So it's not advisable to do a post-mortem lah, because it's quite common in Buddhist society whenever we run events, whether it's Viksak Day or Dana or whatever, whatever events. Then after that, the committee, the organizing committee, have a post-mortem, on the areas to
I
improve.
think
where we go wrong.
the way how the postmortem is done is what they should discuss. Let's say
Okay.
if they made a mistake to other people, if they did not mention somebody's name, somebody was hurt,
Yeah.
that kind of postmortem is okay. But if somebody is going after somebody, you didn't do this and that, that might not be a good idea, I mean, you're going to ruin the whole event, right? Probably you might be doing that to improve in a good way, but not picking up these small, tiny things, because we all are humans. We can make mistakes anytime.
Right.
Because purification will be there, not happen. All right,
Okay,
so
thank you,
let's-
Bhante.
Yeah, let's see now here. The wise person is not giving attention to these sense desires, then what you call bhava and avijja. He is or she is going to give attention to how sense desire does not arise, how bhava does not arise, how ignorance does not. This is how he is going to use wise attention. Now, if we want to practice the first method, according to the Sabbāsava Sutta for asavas, you must use wise attention, not unwise attention. Wise attention. Then what happens? Seeing the truths. Now let's go to the sutta here, because I kind of like bypass here. Maybe I'm going to be asking somebody to read here. These are the last two phrases. Who would like to read this part? This is page number 5. Last two paragraphs. So, okay. So, idam dukkhanti. Who would like to read this part? Now, this is the phrase where you are practicing yoniso manasikaro, wise attention properly. Thereby, you are going to become a sotapanna and then practicing the first.
I try, Bhante.
Oh, you are not? Oh, a lot of people.
So,
Kim, are you okay if we give it this chance to?
Sure.
Okay,
Let's.
I'll give you that. Okay, good. Thank you.
what's
Yeah,
that?
brother. Yes, Cicely.
Oh, okay. So,
So
idam dukanti yoniso manasi karoti ayang dukkha samudayo ti yoniso manasi karoti ayang dukkha nirodo ti yoniso manasi karoti ayang dukkha niroda kamini patipada ti yoniso manasi karoti tassa ewang yoniso manasi karoto tini samyojanani pahiyanti sakaya dikti vici kicha silabatan paramaso.
great. Yes, you made it.
Thank you.
All right. Now we have to understand how the Buddha is connecting yoniso manasikara to become a sotapanna. This is very interesting. So idam dukkhanti. Now yoniso manasikara, what you call the function, maybe the way how someone is supposed to practice yoniso manasikara has been already discussed, right? Now tell me how somebody has to practice yoniso manasikara. If you want to practice yoniso manasikara, you must pay attention to how your karma arises, how your bhava arises, how your avijja arises, how your ditthi arises. At the same time, you have to look at how you are not creating karma, how you are not creating bhava. how you are not creating avijja, how you are not creating ditti. Then you are practicing yoniso manasikara. When you are practicing yoniso manasikara that way, then what will happen is that you are able to see the Four Noble Truths in their entirety. Very interesting. Now see here. So idang dukkhante yoniso manasikaro. He or she attends appropriately. This is dukkha. He or she attends appropriately. Ayan dukkha samudayo. This is the origin of dukkha, dukkha samudayo. Yoniso manasikaro. Ayan dukkha nirodhoti yoniso. This is the cessation of the dukkha. Ayan dukkha nirodhagamini patipada. This is the way which leads to the cessation of dukkha. Has anybody ever thought that you must look at the Four Noble Truths with wise attention before? Or you just look at it? This is dukkha, dukkha samudaya, dukkha nirodha, dukkha nirodhagamini patipada. Have you ever thought that you have to use wise attention to look at the Four Noble Truths? You may have not ever heard that way. Buddha says, if you want to become a Sotapanna, you must use yoniso manasikara, wise attention, to look at Four Noble Truths. Very interesting. Then here, as you can see, then what happens? Tassa evang yoniso manasikarotu. Now, when somebody is looking at the Four Noble Truths through the yoniso manasikara, wise attention, then what happens? Three fetters will be eliminated by that person. Sakkaya ditti, vicikicca, silabbata paramasa. Thereby, he or she will become a Sotapanna. Now, I have to ask you, what are these sangyojanas? What is the connection of sangyojana to the asavas? Tell me, what is the sangyojana? Sangyojana.
Factors
Fetters.
that bind us to the
Now,
samsara.
let me add you something here. Now, before I told you this process, you have it, this process, then I'm going to add another word to this process. Can you see that again? Akusala roots, asavas, upakilesas, kilesas, apanchas. Now, final one is sangyojana. Sangyojana means when you have papancha, what is happening is that you will be self-chained into the sansara. What happens? Somebody comes up to you, hey, I have to put you the handcuff, putting your hands behind. And I have to put you 10 chains in this handcuff. So you are enchained. You are enchained by 10 fetters. To where? If you were arrested by the police, they will be enchained you to the police car. They will be enchaining you to something like a post. But now we understand we are being changed in the sansara. We are being enchained into the sansara. Sansara is where we have been enchained. Our hands, legs, they all are enchained by 10 things. What are they? I think I already explained to you before. They are these are the chains. Sakkaya, ditti, to vicikicca. All these are chains. So the power of the chains will go high up when it goes down. Silabbata paramasa. Amara. Pati. Rupa ra. Arupa ra. Man. I had to go this way. Uddacha. Avijja. Now let me tell you. These are individually chains. What do you call? They are chains. like this. They are chains. They have chained us into the sansara. This sansara, these 10 have chained us sansara. Now, when you use yoniso manasika, wise attention to
Break
look
the
at
chain.
Four Noble Truths, then what happened? You are able to eliminate these three fundamentals. When you eliminate these three, Sakkaya Ditthi, Vicikiccha, Silabbata Paramasa, what will happen to you?
Become
You will
Sotapanna.
become a Sotapanna. Now then, it's becoming a Sotapanna is a very easy 2 months course. Is it a very rapid result of a course, or is it something that is very easy to do, in a month of time, in a 2 months of time, in going to a temple for a couple of years? Is it easier than you thought? It is not that easy, but it is possible. Believe me, it is possible, but it is not that easy in the way how people talk about it. This is how the Buddha says, you have to look at the Four Noble Truths with yoniso manasika. Now, just to save some time, I'm going to say, what is Sakkaya Ditthi? What is Vicikiccha? What is Silabbata Paramasa? Tell me what is Sakkaya Ditthi. I always explain this many, many times, everywhere. Sakkaya
view.
Ditthi.
Right view.
Right view? Really? I hope you are not in the slumber of the defilements. Huh? See? All right. Sakkaya Ditthi means, a lot of people translate personality view, ego, many translations. You should not be bothered by these translations. The contextual meaning of the Sakkaya Ditthi is, yes, surely you remember, clinging to 5 aggregates. Yes. If you cling to 5 aggregates, then you have Sakkaya Ditthi. Because I always mention Vishaka. Vishaka was the chief Daika to the Buddha. But she became a Sotapanna when she was 7 years old. Then, in her early 20s, most probably, maybe late in her teenager time, she fell in love with a man and she got married. How come a Sotapanna person falls in love with somebody? Tell me. How is it possible? It's because what she must have overcome is Sakkaya Ditthi. That means she does not cling to the 5 aggregates, right? She does not cling to the 5 aggregates, but she still have responsibilities for the husband. That is the way. She does her responsibility, but she never clings to the husband. That is what happening. So for those folks who is advising to people, if you want to become Sotapanna, go exit your house, go to the forest. That is a really lame understanding, lame advice. So Sakkaya Ditthi means there is no clinging to the aggregates, but you are wisely using your 5 aggregates, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sakkaya. First one. Second, Vicikiccha. You have no spiritual doubts about Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, previous life, next life, and all that. And then Silabbata Paramasa is also very important. That means you are not clinging to your Sila. Yes. Actually, clinging to rites and rituals is a Protestant translation. I would say clinging to Sila and practices. There are a lot of people, when they are practicing Sila, they are clinging to their Sila. Have you seen such people?
No.
Huh? Have you seen such people? when you deal with them, they are always trying to advise you. You can't sit this way, you cannot do that, this. You are troubled a lot. Oh, Sila is this troubling to me. Why you are troubling with your Sila? You practice your Sila, I practice my Sila. Right? So these people have been troubled by Sila. This is one of the critical blame that is happening coming from the young people to, when we go to a temple, we have lots of rules to follow and all that. That is maybe their house rules, not the temple rules. But Silabbata Parama says you are clung to the Sila. Never ever cling to the Sila. Sila is just a place where you become a good person only. Then you have to practice Samadhi. Then wisdom arises. What about the rites? Different practices? Do some of the modern Buddhist schools have very different practices? Yes, there may be. You don't need to name them. Some of the extreme practices. If you go to some of the meditation practices in some countries, in case you doze off in the meditation, somebody is coming in, then try to hit you. You can't sleep in the meditation. That is their own way of practicing meditation. If you come to the meditation, you have to be alert all the time. Who is going to be alert alert all the time? Nobody is going to be alert all the time. It is a human thing, right? Whenever you doze off, then you understand this can happen to you. Gently go back to your focus. Why we don't have that compassion to look at that person? Where is the focus of the meditation? If you don't have compassion, kindness to us and to other people. All right. So Vicikiccha, spiritual doubts, and then Silabbata Paramasami, clinging to Sila, and then other practices. So now, if you practice wise attention, then what happens? You are going to use wise attention to look at Four Noble Truths. Then you understand Four Noble Truths insofar as to make you a Sotapanna. So next week, we are going to do the second method, Sangvara Mahatappa. This is our focus. Sangvara means restraint, sense restraint. Any questions for today? Because we are finishing the first method.
Bhante, Sila Paramansa, can we say is wrong view or wrong understanding of morality?
Yeah, it is. Silabbata Paramasa is misunderstanding of the purpose of Sila.
Yeah. So they observe morality practices, but then it's a wrong view, it's a wrong understanding, it's a wrong way.
For them, it is not wrong way.
Yeah,
because
for
they
them
say
it's not
we
wrong.
practice Sila, we practice Sila to become good people. But
Correct.
according to the Noble Eightfold Path, it is wrong way. Because the Buddha says, if you want to practice Sila, you have to understand first why you practice Sila. They don't know why they practice Sila. That means they have vicharity.
Correct.
But in their own version, they will be pointing out, hey, look at the people who are doing a lot of bad things to society. We are better than those people. That is not the question. The question is, why do you practice Sila?
Because nowadays, even there are people who practice asceticism. They torture the body as a form of
because
morality.
actually we have to pity on them. They have been misinstructed.
Correct.
By the whoever the teachers, misinstructed.
So this is considered Silabbata Paramansa.
Yes, I think a lot of people are very innocent. They really want to practice something. So they just go to a certain place that they've been advised. And they are asked to practice this and that. That is why it is very important to find out a good teacher, layperson or monastic, definitely. And then to follow the true Dhamma. Because giving pain to the body is one of the extremes which the Buddha gave up. So why are we going to teach this again to the people? It is an extreme. Right? Now, are you happy somebody is coming and trying to hit you with the stick behind when you doze off? Who is going to like you? Then they will say you are not practicing in the retreat. Rather you call it, no, this is not Buddhism, this is a house rule, maybe your own temple rule, maybe your own traditional rule. It is not Buddhism. In Buddhism, we have to be kind to everybody. We have to be compassionate to the people who are making mistakes also. Trying to teach them in a kind way so they will improve. They will fix their issues, right? So these
so
are
Bhante-
practices, wrong practices.
So Bhante, if Buddhists believe in attaining enlightenment through prayers alone, so that is Silabbata Paramahansa also?
That is a misunderstanding also.
Yeah, misunderstanding
I
about
think it
practice.
is not people believe it, people are asked to believe so by somebody or whoever. Because people really want to know how these are going to work. Just whenever you go to a temple or a certain place, if you think that just praying for this particular person will give you everything, everybody will do the same thing without any effort. The only effort is you paying money for the offerings. I think the blessings are not that easy. The true blessings are not that easy to come out.
Right.
It is not just the money only. You will go and do it. It's okay, because I believe that everyone is looking at these things differently. But in order for you to create real blessings, go follow the Mangala Sutta.
Yes.
Because in the Mangala Sutta, we know we have to create blessings, not we receive the blessings.
Yeah.
Because it is an effort. It is a committed life if you want to create blessings. Even the Mangala Sutta is being heard by people as an automatic blessing. Bhante chanted Mangala Sutta, so we are blessed now, so everything is okay now. People like going for the easy fixes, quick fixes. Yes, I mean, definitely when Reverend Monk is chanting, yes, it's a blessing in our good way. But the true blessings don't come to us without following, without creating those 38 blessings. You see, Asevanacha Balana. Now we are listening to the chanting every day, but we are always going to the bad people every day. Then will we get the blessing? We are listening to the chanting always, but we are surrounding with the bad friends, asapurisas. And then we say our life is not good. I have lots of pain because you are going there. You are associating these people. Now, one other example, what do you call Asevanacha Balana, Pandita Sevana, Pujaja Pujaniya, and Patirupa Desavasocha. You are in a bad neighborhood, wrong neighborhood, where you don't feel good. You are always going to run into problems with other people, unpleasant people. Maybe you are in a crime neighborhood, right? Then that doesn't help you. And then, so all these are, most of these blessings have to be created. So I think just praying and asking and then waiting to get all that is not a good process, right?
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes. And then a lot of people then blame the God, blame the Buddha. Also, my prayers are not being answered. Why? Why? I have to ask, because whether you have been following what the Buddha said, how your prayer is going to be answered by somebody. Say, maybe I pray wrong. Maybe my prayers are not being answered by these individuals, right? Because they are not being asked to practice the Mangala Sutta's 38 blessings. All right, one more question here. Bhante, how do we handle unpleasant feeling and thoughts towards someone which come naturally? Yeah, definitely we have to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. If you ask me a very quick fix, I would say then Satipatthanas. But the constructive process that we are supposed to practice to avoid these feelings is to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. Then you will never come up with this unpleasant feeling. Jacqueline, you are mentioning a story. I know this couple, the husband is in relationship with the female whom I know as well. I don't feel good when confronting them. Right. And I think we have many stories like that in our life, probably in your life. So what you are doing is that you are trying to think that let them fix their problem, let them solve their issue. At the same time, you can wish something good should happen to these people. Bhante, can I ask another question? What is the example of spiritual doubt? Spiritual doubts can come from different ways about the Buddha, about the Dhamma, about the Sangha, doubts about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. If you have doubts about Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, you should ask from a teacher. All right, I think we have almost gone beyond the time. And you can read the spiritual doubts under Vichikicha on internet too. Maybe next week I can explain to you. All right, so let's transfer all the good karmas to the departed ones now and the devas. May all the good karmas which we be accumulating today be transferred to all the departed ones who passed away in the name of all of us. If the departed ones were reborn in a place of discomfort, pain, may they be able to release from those pains and to be reborn in a place of comfort, happiness. May departed ones be well and happy and finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me jnati nanghu sukita punyatayo. Idam me jnati nanghu sukita punyatayo. Idam me jnati nanghu sukita punyatayo. May Deva Naga Mahidika receive all these good karmas, share all these good karmas. May they bless and protect all of you, your family members, even your grandchildren, for good health, quality of life, prosperity, and safety. May Deva Naga Mahidika in particular bless all of you for your Dhamma journey to know more Dhamma in a penetrative way, follow. And today's lesson is that may you be able to look at the Four Noble Truths with wise attention to become a Sotapanna. May Deva Naga Mahidika be well and happy and finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu. Ittavatacha ammehi sampatang punya sampadang. Sabbe deva anumodantu sampasangpatti sindhya. Ittavatacha ammehi sampatang punya sampadang. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sampasangpatti sindhya. Ittavatacha ammehi sampatang punya sampadang. Sabbe satta anumodantu sampasangpatti sindhya. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahindika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu lokasasanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahindika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahindika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mang paranti. Chirang rakkhantu tvang sadati. In this aimless, wandering, samsaric journey, may we be in the company of the Kalyana Mittas and not be with the Papa Mittas. Thinking thus, we're going to make a wish. Imina punya kammene mami vada samagamu satang samagamu hotu yavanimbana patiya. Finally, may all the good karmas which we've been accumulating, creating today throughout our discussions of the discussion be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu. Abhivadana silissa nichang vaddha pachaino. Chattaru dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanu sukhang balang. Ayurarugya sampatti sakha sampatti mevacha. Ato nibbana sampatti iminati saminjatu. Sadhu. Sadhu.
Sadhu.
With that, so the discussion is over and wishing you a good night and see you
Good night,
next
Bhante.
Friday at the same time, 8:30.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you,
Good night,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Good night, Bhante.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good night,
night,
Bhante.
Good night. Sadhu Dante, thank you.
You.
Thank you, Bhante.
You have-
Ah,